What's up, guys? Welcome back to YouTube. It's your boy Rahul. Today we're going to be going over not a deck profile, so we're going to do something a little interesting because there's a lot of cool news that came over this weekend. Calyrex cards we're going to go over today. The new 9 cards that were revealed, we're going to talk about the competitive viability of them, how I think they're going to be currently, and how they will be post-rotation. So a little bit of insight on how I think things are going to go. If you haven't hit subscribe already, please do that. That'd be awesome. Like if you enjoyed the video and the content below. If you guys didn't, on Twitch this weekend, I went over the iCheat 2021 Champions League tournament as well, so go check that out. I was a 12-hour stream. You can skim through it if you want. We sat, watched all the games. It was a best of 1 finals. I'm going to try to go over those top 16 decks if I can get my hands on those throughout the week. So without further ado, let's jump into the cards. All right. Thanks to Poke Beach, Bangaras, Justin, and Toyin, and Franco for translating. We've got some cards today. All right. Let me do this. Let me move up here. All right. Let's go over some of these cards. So obviously the next set is Chilling Rain, and so Calyrex is going to be the poster child of the deck. So we were hoping that these cards wouldn't be super broken, and I think for the most part they're not incredibly crazy. The Ghost Rider Calyrex is very, very strong. Let's go through the cards and see what they are. Ice Rider Calyrex V, the baby, for a water does 40 pierce. Water colorless, 200, discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. Pretty strong, especially compared with Frostmoth in the current format, and we'll have Sun and Moon with it if Sun and Moon is a rotation as well, so Frostmoth stays. The metal weakness does put it in check from cards like Zacian, Mawile for the time being. Post-rotation, Zacian still stays around, Metal Saucer is still a card, Bronzong is in the format. There is a check to it, I really like that. Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX. Imperial Steed, 10 plus 30 for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. It's a soft counter to Eternatus, can also be like a soft damager, isn't the craziest, can kind of be teched into some things. Maybe you can play with vanilla energy, but the second attack is almost always going to be better. Max Lance, 10 plus, 120 for each water energy you discard from this Pokemon, and you may discard only up to 2 energy from this Pokemon, water energy. So you can do a max of 250 damage. Definitely is a very balanced card. It does not go crazy because 250 is not an unreasonable amount of damage. You're not one-shotting anything that isn't is a big VMAX, right? So like it's not crazy. As the current format stands, I think it could have a chance, but obviously it's got a very big glaring weakness in metal, so I think Ice Rider Calyrex will probably take a second or 2 to make a splash. Post-rotation is probably our best bet to when we see it, but other than that, I think it's pretty good card. I like it. I think it's one of my more favorite card designs that's come out. Now, this is probably the card that everyone's talking about, these combination of cards here. It is a little bit crazy to look at, but I feel like the deck is going to be... I'll explain in a sec. Shadow Rider Calyrex. For a Psychic, Shadow Mist 10, they can't play any special energies or stadium cards from their hand during the next turn. So it's basically Chaos Wheel Light without the Tool effect. And then for Triple Colorless, Astral Barrage. Place 5 damage counters on 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. That's not as relevant. Can be a game ender if you need to use it, however. So keep that in mind. But using Shadow Mist on turn 1 does make it so you can get a lot of tempo because a lot of decks are relying on special energy, especially with the single strike and rapid strike energy coming into the format. And some of these cool new stadiums that we're going to go over later in the video as well. So check that out. It definitely is kind of a cool card with that attack. It scrolled up for some reason. But the card that everyone is talking about is Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX. Ability Hell Gate. Once during your turn, you may attach a Psychic Energy from one of your hand to one of your bench Psychic Pokemon, then draw 2 cards. Basically, it's Malamar from your hand, but you also get to draw 2 cards. That's pretty crazy. It's like you get to trade an energy into play, which I don't know if that's going to be balanced for the time being. I'll be honest. It has a pretty big check with the Dark type weakness. Eternatus is in the format. You have the Galarian Moltres as well that puts it into check, Galarian Moltres V. A lot of these cards that are in the format do put it in check, and I do like that a lot. So I'm hoping that this card isn't incredibly overpowered. Triple Colorless Max Geist, G Max Geist, 10 plus 30 for each Psychic Energy attached to all of your Pokemon in play. Definitely is an energy flood damage type deck that you're going to have to build around this guy. So the first thing that comes to mind is Malamar for me. It feels like it's going to be a deck that's built like Malamar, where you have to play a lot of really consistent lines, a lot of energy, a lot of ways to fetch energy because it goes from the hand. You got to play either supporting Pokemon or ways to do kind of stuff. Like it does seem like you're going to have to ramp up, but the first couple turns you might be incredibly weak just because you're not going to be doing an immense amount of damage, obviously, because it's going to take a couple turns for you to ramp up and get onto the board. You don't have a Psychic Patch. Keep that in mind. This guy is a Psychic Patch from hand, but you don't have more than that. Maybe Turbo Patch, cards like that can come in, but That's where Shadow Mist comes into play, where you get a turn to kind of buy yourself some time. Hopefully you don't get smacked in the face. Cards like Eternatus can probably just body you. That matchup seems unwinnable, like near unwinnable. So, but because of this card, maybe cards like Necrozma V, Hatterene V, like those kinds of cards can come back into play, see format. Like some of these V Pokemon that we previously discarded because they just weren't able to keep up with the speed of the format, but now maybe they can come back. The most obvious answer that everyone's looking at is Trevnor paired with this guy. Trevnor basically just means like now with this combination of cards with 2 Calyrex VMAX into play, you can set up a Trevnor in one turn, Marnie your opponent down low, get rid of their hand, down to 2 to 3 cards, and the game gets hard for your opponent. So this can also just be a support Pokemon rather than its own attacker, which makes it even crazier. So a lot of potential for this card. This is definitely the card that everyone is going to be talking about, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And then we have Cresselia, another support card for the Psychic type. Crescent Growth, search your deck for Psychic Energy and attach it to one of your Pokemon. If you go second on your first turn, you may attach 3 Psychics. So basically Volcanion. It's a Psychic Volcanion with a weaker second attack. Psychic 30, and if you have 5 Psychic or 5 Energy in play or more, it doesn't have to be Psychic, it's 90 more. So it's a weaker Volcanion, because I think this card is like, yeah, I don't have anything to say about it. It's definitely good in the Calyrex decks and stuff like that. Then we get Melanie. Melanie is, I think, what Welder should have been. Attach a water energy from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon V, not GX, not any Pokemon, just a Pokemon V specifically, and then draw 3 cards. That's really good because you're probably going to have energies in the discard. With Calyrex VMAX, you can power it back up with this girl, draw 3 cards on top of it. Very strong synergistically, lets you play a lot of different options. Water decks or getting a lot of support. So I know Calyrex is the one we're looking at, but cards like Blastoise VMAX, Lapras VMAX, Frostmoth Inteleon, like Inteleon VMAX, all these water cards that we kind of discounted previously might be able to make a splash in the format. I'll see you guys later. Fog Crystal, I was going to call this guy Purple Orb, but I guess he's got an actual name. Search deck for either a basic Psychic Pokemon or a basic Psychic Energy, put it in your hand. It's basically Netball for Psychics, giving Psychic a lot more support because it looks like in the last little bit, Psychic has really fallen off as a type. So it looks like they're bringing it back in full force, and it's given the identity of Energy Flood, or like board flow Energy Flood, kind of like Malamar was, in my opinion. Path to the Peak is going to be a very strong stadium. Each player's Pokemon play with a rule box ability has no abilities. So you're basically shutting off a lot of the big V Pokemon, a lot of the rule box cards like Dedenne, Crobat, Eldegoss, and there's no Chaotic Swell coming in the next format. There is no Marshadow resetting hole as well. So we're going to enter a format where there's going to be no reliable answer besides your own stadium to deal with this. So maybe we enter a world of Stadium Wars again, which could be really interesting to see with decks being built. Marnie will be played. Obviously, it'll be still in the format if Sword and Shield on his rotation. But we do enter a situation where Stadium Wars could be a thing. Maybe a supporter comes out that discards stadiums, something like that. That could definitely be interesting to see as well, kind of like a Faba for now. But I would be interested to see, because that means deck building would have to be radically different post-rotation. For current rotation, also really good. It's just a better power plant. So anyone who's already playing power plant in your deck, you just replace it with Path to the Peak, and you're good to go. Unless maybe your Eternatus, because you want to keep your Crobat, and you want to keep your Eternatus VMAX. But everything else, Path to the Peak is very, very good. Last but not least, we have Old Cemetery. If you remember the card Frozen City, it's a rehash of that. Whenever a player attaches an energy from their hand to one of their Pokemon, excluding Psychic Pokemon, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. So Old Cemetery, I don't think will have many versatility uses besides spread potentially. But you could play it in a deck like Trevnor. I don't know. It could be like, I think Path to the Peak is just significantly better as a stadium in any like lock type deck you'd want to build with Psychic. But if you have like a spread deck in the works, maybe more spread cards get revealed. Maybe this becomes something good. I know Meowstic was revealed a couple sets ago, or in the upcoming set. I don't remember. It was either this set or Matchless Fighters. So you have a lot of these spread options. The cards are not like crazy impressive, but obviously Psychic becomes a really good archetype due to Calyrex VMAX. Melanie, very, very, very strong card. And last but not least, obviously, Path to the Peak. These 3 cards are going to shape our metagame moving forward, but like the Urshifus, like the Galarian birds, they feel like they could be flexed into anything like support roles as well. So it feels like a lot of versatility is being given to these new cards. The card design does mean it's going to be VMAX, smacking VMAX, it looks like, for a little bit. Not for one-shots unless there's typing involved, but one prizers might have a surprise way to come back. I don't know. One prizers what they'll get, what tools they'll have. But for the time being, I really like these cards. I think we're going in a good direction with the game. I think we're straying away from what tag teams were, creating this one-shot metagame where you would just get blown up immediately. ADP, I think, was a mistake, and we're moving into a nice place. So, if you guys enjoyed that video, be sure to subscribe, be sure to like, check my content out on TikTok, check my content out on Twitter, twitch.tv/theflea. I stream a majority of days. I'm going to just kind of do it whatever night, night times, evenings, 10 p.m. onwards. If I'm playing a tournament, maybe earlier, we'll see. But thank you guys for all the support and love. I appreciate it a ton. It's been a warm welcome back to YouTube. And our regular upload schedule will be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I won't stray from that unless there's something really crazy I need to talk about, like the season restarting or like Worlds or something. I don't know. But expect me on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays here on YouTube at noon EST video time. So keep that on your calendar if you like Rahul's content. I'm Rahul. No one else is Rahul. So thank you guys so much. Thanks for watching.